Hello friends, welcome to Prashant IAS. So friends, in the last class, we were discussing about the discretionary powers of the President of India. And from this class, we will continue our discussion further. So friends, in this class, we will start our discussion with the administrative powers of the President of India. Okay, so we will start our discussion with administrative powers of the President of India. Now we can also call them executive powers. Okay, so we can call them administrative powers or executive powers. So friends, let's begin. So friends, please see on the screen. So first of all, we will start a discussion with the first executive power or first administrative power of the President of India. So friends, this is the President of India. Okay, so here on the screen you can say that I am drawing President of India. And friends, I told you that there are three organs of the government. Okay, so the first organ of the government is legislature. Okay, so the first organ of the government is legislature. Second organ of the government is executive. Second organ of the government is executive. And the third organ of the government is judiciary. Okay, so which is the third organ of the government? So the third organ of the government is judiciary. Now friends, in India, which organ is called as legislature? So we all know that in India, Parliament is legislature. Okay, so in India, who is legislature? In India, Parliament is legislature. Now friends, then who is executive? Okay, in India, who is executive? So we all know that Council of Ministers. Okay, Council of Ministers headed by Prime Minister. Council of Ministers headed by Prime Minister is called as executive wing of the government. And who is judiciary for center? So Supreme Court is judiciary for center. Okay, so Supreme Court is judiciary for center. Now friends, the first thing is that all the executive decisions of the center, okay, all the executive decision of the center are either taken by president. All the executive decision of the center are either taken by president or they are taken in the name of president. Okay, so all the executive decisions of the center are taken directly by president or taken in the name of president. Now what do I mean when I say that all the executive decision of center are taken in the name of president? So it means that any other officer, he can be PM, he can be any other minister of COM, he can be any officer. If any other officer is taking decision on behalf of president, okay, any other officer, he can be PM, he can be any minister of COM or any other officer. If any other officer is taking decision on behalf of president, then it is called as the decision is taken in the name of the president. And also the signature of presidents are needed on such decision. Okay, so all the executive decisions of the center are taken either directly by the president or in the name of the president. Okay, and decision taken in the name of the president means any officer taking decision on behalf of president. Okay, that officer is a representative of the president and that officer is taking decision on behalf of president. Now friends, let's discuss about the second administrative or executive power of the President of India. So the second executive power of the President of India is regarding the appointment of various officers. Okay, so this is regarding the appointment of officers of the central government. So now a very basic question arises that which officers are appointed by the President of India? Which officers of the center are appointed by the President of India? So first of all, Prime Minister. Okay, so Prime Minister is the head of government. Prime Minister is the leader of COM. Prime Minister is the boss of Council of Ministers and this Prime Minister is appointed by the President of India. Then friends, all other ministers of Union COM, Okay, all the ministers of Union Council of Ministers are appointed by the President of India. Okay, after that, Attorney General. Okay, so Attorney General of India is also appointed by the President of India. Now, who is Attorney General? So, this we will discuss when I will teach you about Attorney General of India. For the time being, you just understand this Attorney General of India is also appointed by the President of India. Now, friends, the fourth officer who is appointed by the President of India is CAG. Who is CAG? CAG means Comptroller and Auditor General of India. Okay, and in the previous classes, I taught you that Comptroller and Auditor General of India means this officer audits the accounts of central government and state government. Okay, so who is CAG? CAG audits the accounts of central government and state government. Now, if you don't know the meaning of audit, then please see the lecture in which I taught you about CAG. Okay, so CAG is the officer, Comptroller and Auditor General is the officer who audits the accounts of central government and state governments, and this officer is also appointed by the President of India. After that, friends, judges of Supreme Court as well as High Court. So the judges of Supreme Court and High Court are also appointed by the President of India. Okay, so the judges of Supreme Court and High Court are also appointed by the President of India. After that, the governor of the states, for example, governor of MP, governor of UP, governor of Bihar, governor of Telangana, and governor of all the states of India are appointed by the President of India. Okay, so you can see that these officers are the top officers of the central government. Okay, and these all officers are appointed by the President of India. So President of India is a very important and most powerful post. Friends, in fact, we can say that all the officers of the union government, okay, all the officers of the union government are either appointed by the president directly, okay, or they are appointed in the name of the president. So all the officers of the union government are either appointed directly by the president or they are appointed by any other officer on behalf of the president. So directly appointment means when president himself is appointing the officer. For example, president himself appoints the Prime Minister of India. Okay, and indirectly appointment means when any other officer, okay, when any other officer appoints someone on behalf of the President of India, means this officer is working on behalf of president. This officer is also the representative of president, and this officer is appointing any other officer on behalf of the President of India. So in short, we can say that all the officers of the union government, all the officers of the union government, they are either directly appointed by the president or they are indirectly appointed by the president. Now this was regarding the appointment. Now what about removal? Okay, what about the removal of all these officers? Who has the power to remove all these officers? Okay, who has the power to remove Prime Minister, Council of Ministers, Attorney General, Comptroller and Auditor General, Supreme Court, High Court judges, Governor. Okay, so friends, even the removal of above all the officer is considered the executive power of president. So the removal of all these officers is also the executive power of the President of India. Means all these officers can be removed by the President of India. Okay, so their removal is also the executive power of the President of India. Now friends, let's continue our discussion further. So now let us discuss about the legislative powers of the President of India. So friends, let us now discuss about the legislative powers of the President of India. So friends, in the previous classes, I taught you that how a bill is converted into a act, how a bill is made law. Okay, in short, how law is made in India. So first of all, a bill is introduced in Lok Sabha. Okay, it can be introduced in Rajya Sabha also, but here I am taking the example of Lok Sabha. So first of all, a bill is introduced in Lok Sabha. Okay, and once the bill is passed in Lok Sabha by a desired majority, then the bill is sent to Rajya Sabha. Okay, so first of all, the bill is introduced in Lok Sabha. After that, the bill is sent to Rajya Sabha. Now suppose if the bill is also passed in Rajya Sabha, then the bill is sent to the president for his assent. Okay, so the bill is sent to president for his signature, for his assent. Okay, assent means the approval of the president. Now if president will give his signature on the bill, if president will give his assent to the bill, then that bill will become the law. Otherwise that bill will be lapsed. Okay, so if president will not give his signature, then that bill will be lapsed, and if president will give his signature, then that bill will become the law. So this is the process of legislation in India. This is the process of law making in India. So friends, president has the power to sign or to not sign the bill. Okay, so in the previous classes I taught you about the veto power of the president. Means only if president will sign the bill, then also the bill will become the act. And if president will apply absolute veto, means if president will not sign the bill, then that bill will be lapsed. So this is the legislative power of the president of India. Now friends, what is the second legislative power of the president of India? So ordinance making power. Okay, so ordinance making power is altogether the law making power of the president of India. Okay, so by making ordinance, president can also make laws. The ordinance of president and the law made by parliament has the same force and same effect. Okay, so ordinance making power is the legislative power of the president of India. Now let's see what is the third legislative power of the president of India. So friends, I have taught you in the previous classes that president is an integral part of parliament. Okay, so who is president? President is an integral part of parliament. So why president is called as integral part of parliament? Why president is considered as the integral part of parliament? Now friends, Indian parliament has two houses. Okay, so Indian parliament has two houses. Which are the two houses of Indian parliament? So the two houses of Indian parliament are Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Okay, so the two houses of the Indian parliament are Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. And which are the three parts of the parliament? So the three parts of the parliament are Lok Sabha plus Rajya Sabha plus President of India. Okay, so Lok Sabha plus Rajya Sabha plus President are the parts of the parliament. Means President is an integral part of parliament. Integral part of parliament means President cannot be removed from parliament. President is a part of parliament. Okay, now the question arises that why president is considered as a part of parliament. Okay, so the question arises that why president is considered as the part of parliament. So let's try to find out the answer to the question that why president is called as the integral part of parliament. Okay, so friends, in the previous classes also I told you little bit about this, but in this class I will explain it to you in detail, that why president is called as the integral part of the parliament. So the first reason is that any bill becomes the law when that bill gets the assent of the president. Okay, so any bill becomes the law. Any bill is enacted only when that bill gets signature of the president. So this is the first reason. Okay, means a bill cannot become a law until that bill gets the assent or the approval of the president. Now let's see what are the other reasons. Friends, tomorrow in yesterday's class I told you about the three sessions of the parliament. Okay, so there are three sessions of the parliament. So which are the three sessions of the parliament? Budget session, monsoon session and winter session. So the three sessions of the parliament are budget session, monsoon session and winter session. So friends, the question arises that who summons the session of the parliament? Who summons these sessions of the parliament? Summons means calls. Okay, so who calls the sessions of the parliament? So the answer is that president calls the sessions of the parliament. president summons the sessions of the parliament. Okay, so the second reason why president is an integral part of the parliament is that president summons the sessions of the parliament. Then friends, then the question arises that who prorogues the sessions of the parliament. Okay, so the question is that who prorogues the sessions of the parliament. Proroguing a session means ending a session. So who ends the session of the parliament? So it is the president who prorogues the session of the parliament. Means president declares that now this session of the parliament is end. Okay, president declares the end of the session of a parliament. So who prorogues the session of the parliament? So president prorogues the session of the parliament. Then friends, it is the president who dissolves the Lok Sabha. So president also has the power to dissolve Lok Sabha. Okay, so president summons the session of the parliament. President prorogues the sessions of the parliament means president ends the sessions of the parliament, and president dissolves the Lok Sabha. Okay, and what is the meaning of dissolving the Lok Sabha? So I have explained it to you in the previous classes also. Let's suppose friend, this is a glass and this glass represents Lok Sabha. So what is this glass? This glass is Lok Sabha, and all the water inside this glass represents the members of Lok Sabha. Okay, so each droplet of water represent one member of Lok Sabha. Okay, and we know that how many members are there in Lok Sabha? So there are total 543 members in Lok Sabha. So let's suppose there are 543 droplets of water in this glass. So this glass represents Lok Sabha, and the droplet of waters in the glass represents the water in the glass represents members of Lok Sabha. Okay, now friends, if you pour this water outside the glass, okay, so suppose this is the glass, okay, and you tilted the glass, and due to tilting the entire water came out of the glass. Okay, so if you pour entire water out of the glass, then glass will be empty. Okay, so now in this condition the glass is empty. So now we can say that this glass has been dissolved. Okay, means Lok Sabha has been dissolved. So dissolving the Lok Sabha means when all the members of Lok Sabha are thrown out of the house. When all the members of Lok Sabha are thrown out of Lok Sabha. Okay, so now all these members of Lok Sabha are no more the members of Lok Sabha. Now they are thrown out of the Lok Sabha, and Lok Sabha is empty. So here we can say that the house is empty. The house is empty. Okay, so dissolving the Lok Sabha means when all the members of Lok Sabha are thrown out of the house and Lok Sabha is totally vacant. So who dissolved Lok Sabha? So President of India has the power to dissolve Lok Sabha, and due to all these reasons, President is called as the integral part of the parliament. Okay, so what is President? President is an integral part of the parliament. Okay, let's move further. Friends, now what is this? This is the parliament. Okay, so let's suppose this is the Parliament of India. Okay, and who all are they? So they are parliamentarians. Okay, so they all are the members of parliament. Let me draw. Okay, so this is parliament and they all are members of parliament. Now friends, let's suppose this is the first session of the parliament, means first session of the year. This is the first session of the parliament of the year. Okay, now friends, this is the President of India. So he is the President of India. Now friends, every year the first session of the parliament, starts with the speech of president. So every year the first session of the parliament starts with the speech of the president. So he is the President of India and he is giving speech to all the parliamentarians. He is giving speech to all the members of parliament. Okay, so every year what happens? The first session of the parliament. Every year the first session of the parliament starts with the speech of the President of India. Now friends, what President gives in his speech? So in his speech, President tells about works that government did in previous year. Okay, so about the works and policies of the government in the previous year. And president also tells about the works and the policies of government in the coming year. So in his speech, president tells about the works and the policies of government of the previous year and the works and policies of government in the coming year. Okay, so what were the works of government and what were the policies of government in the last year, and what will be the works and policies of government in the coming year. So every year the first session of the parliament starts with the speech of president of India, and definitely president is giving speech to whom? To parliament, to parliamentarians, means to the lawmakers. That's why it is also considered as a legislative power of the president of India. Now friends, let's move further and let's discuss about the next legislative power of the president of India. So friends, in the previous classes I told you about Rajya Sabha members. Okay, so let's suppose this is Rajya Sabha, and how many members are there in Rajya Sabha? So there are total 245 members in Rajya Sabha, and out of these 245 members, 233 members are elected. Okay, so how many members are elected? 233 members are elected. And friends, out of these 245 members, 12 members are nominated. Okay, and who nominate these 12 members? These members are nominated by the president of India. Okay, so the 12 members in Rajya Sabha are nominated by the president of India. So friends, now these 12 members are also legislators, means they are also lawmakers. These 12 members are the members of Rajya Sabha, and Rajya Sabha is the upper house of parliament. So these 12 members are also lawmakers. Okay, and if president is nominating these 12 members, then we can say that this is also a legislative power of the president of India. This is also a law-making power or a legislative power of the president of India. Now friends, let's move further. So friends, just now I told you that how law is made in India. Okay, means how a bill is converted into law, how a law is made in India. So first of all, the bill is introduced in Lok Sabha, okay, or it can be introduced in Rajya Sabha also. So for explaining you, here I am taking the example of Lok Sabha. So first of all, a bill is introduced in Lok Sabha. Okay, so first of all, a bill is introduced in Lok Sabha, and once the bill is passed in Lok Sabha, after that the bill is sent to Rajya Sabha. Okay, now let's suppose the bill is also passed in Rajya Sabha, and once the bill is passed in Rajya Sabha also, then that bill is sent for the assent of the president, means for the approval or for the signature of the president. And if president signs the bill, if president gives his assent to the bill, then that bill becomes the law. But friends, there are some bills, for example money bill, finance bill, or bills under article 3. Okay, so there are some bills which can only be introduced in parliament, which can only be introduced in Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha only after the recommendation of the president of India. Okay, so there are some bills, for example money bill, finance bill, and bills under article 3. So these type of bills, okay, these bills can only be introduced in parliament. These bills can only be introduced in parliament only after the recommendation of the president, only after the prior permission of the president. For example friends, let's suppose there is a money bill. Okay, there is a money bill, and this money bill has to be introduced in Lok Sabha. So for example, finance minister has to introduce this bill in Lok Sabha. Finance minister of the country has to introduce this bill in Lok Sabha. Now friends, finance minister needs the prior permission of the president. Okay, so finance minister needs the permission of the president, and only if president, and only when president will give his permission, when president will give his permission, then only finance minister will be able to introduce that bill in Lok Sabha. Okay, so Okay, so what was that example? So our example is that if finance minister of the country has to introduce a money bill, in Lok Sabha, okay, if he has to introduce a money bill in Lok Sabha, then he has to take the prior permission of the president, then he has to take the prior consent of the president, and only if president will give his recommendation, and only if president will his permission, then only finance minister will be able to introduce that bill in Lok Sabha. Okay. Now friends, what is Article 3? So Article 3 deals with changing the name, area and boundary of a state. Okay. So I have taught you this article before also. Okay. So Article 3 deals with changing the name, area, boundary of a state. Okay, parliament's power to change the name, area, boundary of a state. So these type of bills can also be introduced in parliament only after the prior permission of the president of India. So this is also a legislative power of the Indian president. This is also a legislative power of the president of India. So let's move further. Now friends, the veto power of the president is also a legislative power of the president. Why? Because what is veto? Veto means when president denies to give his assent to a bill. Okay, so when president denies to give his assent to a bill, then that bill is lapsed. Okay, then that bill will not become law, then that bill is lapsed. So when president denies to give his assent to a bill, then that bill is lapsed. So this power of the president is known as veto power of the president. Okay, so this is also a legislative power of the president. So in the previous classes, I taught you about three type of vetoes. Okay, so absolute veto. So what is absolute veto? So absolute veto means when president totally denies to give his signature, to give his assent to a bill, and that bill is lapsed. But president exercises absolute veto only on the advice of Union Council of Ministers. Okay, then I taught you about suspensive veto. So what happens in suspensive veto? So in suspensive veto, president sends back the bill to the parliament for its recommendation. President sends back the bill for the reconsideration of the parliament. Okay, and after reconsideration, if parliament sends back the same bill or the modified bill, then president is bound to give his assent on the bill. Okay, so in short, what is suspensive veto? So suspensive veto means when president sends the bill back to the parliament for its reconsideration. When president sends the bill back to the parliament for its reconsideration. So this is suspensive veto. Okay, and then I taught you about pocket veto. So what is pocket veto? So pocket veto means when president puts the bill in his pocket and he ignores the bill. Okay, means neither he is applying absolute veto, neither he is sending the bill back for the reconsideration, neither he is giving his assent. Means he is totally ignoring the bill. So these vetoes are also the legislative powers of the president of India. Now out of these three, absolute veto is exercised by the president of India on the recommendation of Union Council of Ministers, whereas suspensive veto and pocket veto are used in his own discretion. So friends, let's move further. Now friends, there are certain reports, there are certain statements. Now the president of India causes these reports and statements to be laid before the parliament. Okay, so there are certain reports and statements. So president of India causes these reports and statements to be laid before the parliament. Now what does it mean? So friends, for example, there are many reports and statements. For example, budget. So budget is also called as annual financial statement. Okay, similarly the report of CAG. CAG means Comptroller and Auditor General, recommendation of Finance Commission, report of UPSC, etc. So these all reports are laid before the parliament after the recommendation of president. Okay, so president causes these reports and statements to be laid before the parliament. Now friends, what is budget? So budget is government's previous year's earning and expenditures statement. Okay, so what is budget? So budget is the statement of government's previous year's earning and expenditure, and current year's estimated earning and expenditures means what will be the expenditures and earning of the government in current year. Okay, so estimated earning and expenditure for current year and previous year's earning as well as expenditures. Okay, so budget is called as annual financial statement. Why? Because budget tells about the financial performance of the government. Budget tells about the financial statement of the government. Okay, so if you are not understanding this at this point of time, so please don't worry, because there is a dedicated class on budget. So when I will teach you about budget, then I will clear each and every concept. Okay, then I will explain each and every concept in very detail. Okay, so if you are not understanding what is budget at this point of time, then please don't worry. Similarly friends, report of CAG. Okay, so comptroller and auditor general, he actually audits the accounts of the government. Okay, so comptroller and auditor general audits the account of the government and he prepares a report. And what is given in the report? In the report it is written that whether the accounts of the government are correct or there is something fishy, whether the accounts of the government are correct or there is any scam. Okay, so this is written in the report of CAG, comptroller and auditor general. Okay, now similarly recommendation by finance commission. So finance commission gives many recommendations. For example, finance commission gives recommendation about the distribution of revenue between center and states. Okay, so finance commission gives recommendation about the distribution of revenue between center and states, means how much center's revenue, how much amount of center's revenue should be transferred to states. So there are many recommendations which are given by finance commission. Similarly UPSC also give its report. So all these reports are laid before the parliament, and president causes these reports and statements to be laid before the parliament. So this is also a kind of legislative power of the president of India. Okay, and friends, even if you are not understanding that what does it mean, so you just try to understand that president gives order. Okay, president gives order to officers. Okay, president give order to in charge officers to present these reports. For example, budget, report of CAG, recommendation of finance commission, report of UPSC, and etc. So president gives order to in charge officers to present these reports to the Parliament of India, to submit these reports to the Parliament of India. Okay, so president gives order to the in charge officers, president recommends to present these reports to the Parliament of India. So just try to understand this. Okay, now friends, let's discuss about the military powers of the President of India. So friends, as you can see on the board, this is army. Okay, this is navy, and this is air force. Okay, so basically, actually there are many central forces, but basically these three are considered as the basic central forces. These are the basic central defense forces. Okay, so army, navy, and air force. So army is actually related to land. Okay, so army is the defense force of land. Navy is the defense force of sea and ocean. Okay, so army is the defense force of land. Navy is the defense force of sea and ocean. Similarly, air force is the defense force of air. Okay, so air force is the defense force of air. So these are the three defense forces of India. Now friends, president is the supreme commander. Okay, president of India is the supreme commander of all these armed forces of India. Okay, so president is the supreme commander of army, as well as president is the supreme commander of navy, as well as president is the supreme commander of air force. Okay, so president is the supreme commander of all the armed forces of India. President is the supreme commander of all the armed forces of India. Okay, so these are the military powers of the president, that he is the supreme commander of army, supreme commander of navy, as well as supreme commander of air force. So he is the supreme commander of all the three forces, all the armed forces of India. Now friends, let's discuss about the diplomatic powers of the president of India. So what are the diplomatic powers of the president of India? So friends, as here you can see on the screen, this is a world map, okay, and in this world map you can see that this is India. So I have marked India in the red color. So this is India. Now friends, President of India represents India internationally as the head of the state. Okay, so in the world, India is represented by the President of India. Okay, so internationally, India is represented. Internationally, India is represented by the President of India. Okay, President of India represents India internationally as the head of the state. So who is the head of India? President of India is the head of India. Okay, though friends, Prime Minister is the head of government, but Prime Minister is not the head of state. Prime Minister is not the head of India. Prime Minister is only the head of Council of Ministers and the government. But the head of the state, head of the India is President of India. So internationally, India is represented on the name of President. President of India represents India internationally as the head of the state. Okay. Now friends, all the international treaties, okay, so all the international treaties as well as agreements, all the international treaties as well as agreements are signed in the name of the President of India. Okay, so all the international treaties, so if suppose India has to sign an international treaty with let's suppose UK. Okay, so let's suppose India has to sign an international treaty on any matter with United Kingdom, then who will sign this international treaty? Then President of India will sign this international treaty with United Kingdom. Okay, so if India has to sign any international treaty or any international agreement with any country of the world, then President of India will sign that international treaty or agreement. Means all the agreements, all the international treaties are signed on the name of the President of India. Then friends, now friends, all the ambassadors are sent from India by the President of India. Okay, so President sends and receives the ambassadors. Now what is an ambassador? Who is an ambassador? So friends, when you all will become IFS officers, Indian Foreign Service, then President of India will also send you as the ambassador of India to any other country. So basically, what is ambassador? What is the meaning of ambassador? So ambassador is actually the representative of India in any foreign country. Okay, so Indian ambassador represents India in any foreign country. For example, Indian ambassador in United States of America, Indian ambassador in America represents India in America. Okay, similarly, Indian ambassador in United Kingdom represents India in United Kingdom. So who is an ambassador? So ambassador is a representative of India in foreign land. Ambassador is a representative of India in foreign country. Okay, so later on we will discuss about it in detail. For the time being, you just understand this that ambassador means the representative of India in the foreign country. Okay, so friends, when you all will become IFS officers, means any of you, I think that many of you want to become IAS officers, but some people actually they want to become IFS officers. So those people who want to become IFS officers, so when they will become IFS, after that President of India will also send them as the ambassador of India to any other country. Similarly friends, President of India receives ambassador from any other country to India. Okay, for example, when any ambassador is sent from USA, okay, when any ambassador is sent from USA to India, then who will receive that ambassador? Then that ambassador will be received by the President of India. Okay, so President sends and receives the ambassadors. This is also a diplomatic power of the President of India. So friends, that's all for today. In the next class, we will continue our discussion further. Friends, if you have enjoyed the lecture, then please like the video, comment, subscribe to my channel, press the bell icon and select all. I have uploaded the link of notes in the description of the video, and you can also directly download the notes from my blog. Till then, take care of yourself. Thank you.